All right, so get this. Scientists are now teleporting information.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
It sounds like Star Trek, right?
It really does. And that's what we're diving into today, this idea of quantum computing.
Yeah.
And specifically some research out of Oxford that has everyone talking about a potential quantum internet.
It is fascinating work.
So before we get ahead of ourselves, can we just make sure we're all on the same page? What exactly is quantum computing? Because I know it's supposed to be super powerful, but break it down for us.
Think of it this way. The computers we use today rely on bits.
Okay.
Which are like tiny switches that could be either on or off, representing 1 or 0.
Right.
But quantum computers use these things called qubits, which are like bits that could be both on and off at the same time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a concept called superposition.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that makes quantum computing so powerful.
So it's like having a computer that can explore every possible solution at the same time.
Exactly. Imagine you're searching a maze.
Okay.
A classical computer would have to check each path one by one. But a quantum computer, thanks to superposition, can check every path simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
And that's why they have the potential to solve problems that would take classical computers millions of years in a fraction of the time.
That's incredible. I'm starting to see why people are so excited about this.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that there are some major challenges in building these quantum computers, especially when it comes to like scaling them up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Building and connecting multiple quantum computers to create a truly powerful network has been a huge obstacle.
Okay.
And that's why this research from Oxford is so significant.
Yeah.
They've made a major breakthrough in figuring out how to connect these systems through a process called quantum teleportation.
Okay, hold on. Teleportation.
I know, right?
Are we talking about beaming things up like in Star Trek?
Yeah.
Because that's where my brain starts to melt a little bit.
Not quite. It's not about physically moving objects, but about transferring the information needed for quantum calculations between separate systems.
Okay.
So think of it like this. Imagine being able to instantly share complex calculations between computers anywhere in the world without any physical wires.
Oh, wow.
Or limitations of distance.
So it's less about physically moving things and more about transferring the instructions.
Exactly.
The blueprints for these incredibly complex calculations.
Yeah, it's about getting different quantum systems to speak the same language, even if they're physically miles apart.
I see.
And that brings us to what the Oxford team has accomplished, teleporting logical gates.
Okay, you're throwing around some technical terms now.
I know, sorry.
What exactly are logical gates and why are they so important?
Think of logical gates as the verbs in a quantum computer's language.
Okay.
They're the fundamental building blocks of algorithms. The instructions that tell the qubits what actions to perform,
Right.
like adding or comparing. What the Oxford team has done is find a way to teleport these verbs, essentially teaching two separate quantum computers how to speak the same language.
So by teleporting these logical gates, they're creating a way for separate quantum systems to interact and work together, even if they're not physically connected.
Precisely.
Oh,
It's a major step toward building that quantum internet. We were talking about a network of quantum computers that could potentially revolutionize computing as we know it.
That's amazing.
And what's even more exciting is they achieve this using readily available technology.
Really?
Yeah. So this isn't some far-off fantasy.
Wow.
It's something that could potentially be scaled up in the near future.
Now that's what I call a deep dive.
I know, right?
But before we get lost in all the possibilities of this quantum internet, I have to ask, what makes this teleportation of logical gates so different from what scientists have been able to do before?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You see, previous quantum teleportation experiments focused on transferring quantum states, which is like sending a single text message. But by teleporting logical gates, the Oxford team has figured out how to stream a whole movie, so to speak.
Wow.
They've created a way to transmit complex instructions, the building blocks of complex algorithms, between quantum computers.
So they've essentially gone from sending simple messages to having a full-blown conversation between quantum computers.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
This is a significant leap forward in terms of building a large-scale functional quantum network.
Yeah.
And it's got the scientific community buzzing.
I can see why. But before we get too carried away with the excitement, are there any challenges or limitations to this approach that we should be aware of?
Sure.
I mean, are we all going to have quantum computers on our desks next week?
Probably not next week.
Okay.
But the progress being made is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
Scaling up these systems to a point where they can tackle real-world problems is still a huge undertaking.
Okay.
And then there's the challenge of developing new quantum algorithms, the software that will allow us to harness the power of these machines.
So there's still a lot of work to be done, but the potential is enormous.
Absolutely. Just think a few years ago, quantum computing was largely theoretical.
Right.
Now we're seeing tangible breakthroughs that are bringing us closer to a future
Hmm.
where this technology could revolutionize everything from medicine to material science to artificial intelligence.
All right, before my brain completely overloads, let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
You mentioned this quantum internet could revolutionize a bunch of different fields. I'm especially curious about its potential impact on healthcare, an area I know you're quite passionate about.
Yeah, what's so exciting about this, and I think it directly applies to your interest in healthcare, is the potential for personalized medicine.
Okay.
With quantum computing, we could simulate complex biological processes at a level of detail never before possible,
Wow.
leading to the development of new drugs and therapies tailored to an individual's genetic makeup.
Personalized medicine tailored to our unique DNA. That's incredible.
It is.
But I can't help but wonder, are there any ethical considerations we need to be mindful of when it comes to this level of personalized healthcare?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it's something we definitely need to be discussing as this technology advances.
Right.
Who has access to this personalized medicine?
Exactly.
How do we ensure privacy and security of such sensitive information?
Right.
These are all important questions we need to be asking.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with quantum computing and this potential quantum internet.
Yeah.
But what would that actually look like in practice? I mean,
Right.
are we talking about quantum routers in our homes and quantum phones in our pockets?
Well, that's a question that researchers are still grappling with.
Yeah.
It's likely that the first applications will be in specialized fields like research and finance,
Mm-hmm.
where the need for secure communication and high-speed computation is paramount.
So it's not going to replace our current internet overnight.
Probably not.
Hmm.
It's more likely that the two will coexist and complement each other for a while.
So we're talking about a gradual evolution rather than a sudden revolution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make the potential any less exciting.
Right.
Just imagine a world where scientific collaboration happens at lightning speed, where medical diagnoses are instantaneous and incredibly accurate, and where we can explore the vastness of space with unprecedented detail.
This has definitely given me a lot to think about, but before we get lost in all the possibilities, let's take a step back and consider the potential challenges and risks of this quantum revolution.
You bring up a good point. It's crucial to consider both the potential benefits and the potential risks of any new technology.
Right.
And quantum computing is no exception.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that comes to mind immediately is cybersecurity.
Okay.
Most of our online security relies on encryption methods that, while strong today, could be cracked by a powerful enough computer in the future.
Right.
But with a quantum internet, we might be able to achieve virtually unhackable communication.
Okay, now that's a game changer.
Yeah.
But how does quantum encryption actually work?
Right.
What makes it so much more secure?
It all comes down to the principles of quantum mechanics.
Okay.
You see, in the quantum world, even observing information can change it.
Oh, wow.
So if someone tried to eavesdrop on a quantum communication,
Uh-huh.
their attempt would be immediately detectable.
Really?
It'd be like trying to sneak a peek at a letter without leaving any trace.
Yeah.
Impossible.
So it's like having an alarm system built into the very fabric of the communication itself?
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, if quantum computers are so powerful, couldn't they also be used to break existing encryption methods?
That's certainly a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a race against time. Can we develop and implement quantum-resistant encryption before quantum computers become powerful enough to crack our current systems?
That sounds like a pretty high-stakes challenge.
It is.
But let's move beyond security for a moment. You mentioned earlier that quantum computing could revolutionize fields like medicine and drug discovery. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Think about it with quantum computers. We could simulate the complex interactions of molecules in the human body with incredible precision.
Okay.
This means we could design drugs that are much more targeted and effective with fewer side effects.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach to medicine,
Right.
we could have treatments tailored to each individual's unique biology.
Exactly. It's like having a custom-made suit versus buying one off the rack.
You're right.
We could even use quantum computers to simulate how different drugs would interact with a specific person's genetic makeup,
Wow.
ensuring they get the most effective treatment possible.
That's a really powerful idea, and it makes me think about the potential for treating diseases that are currently incurable.
Yeah.
Could quantum computing help us find new therapies for conditions like cancer or Alzheimer's?
That's definitely a possibility. Quantum computers could help us understand the underlying mechanisms of these diseases in ways we can only dream of today,
Right.
leading to the development of entirely new treatment approaches.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but I also know that with any powerful technology, there are potential downsides. Are there any risks or challenges we need to be aware of as we enter this quantum age?
You are absolutely right to be thinking about that, and one of the biggest concerns is the potential impact on the workforce.
Okay.
If quantum computers can perform tasks that currently require human intelligence, what happens to those jobs?
It's a bit unsettling to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're talking about massive job displacement, and what can we do to prepare for that kind of shift in the job market?
It's a complex issue, and there are no easy answers.
Right.
But we need to start thinking now about how to train people for the jobs of the future jobs that will likely require a different set of skills than what's needed today.
Yeah.
Perhaps we need to focus on developing skills that complement quantum technology or create new industries and job opportunities that emerge as a result of this advancement.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but about how we adapt as a society to these rapid changes
Yeah.
and how we ensure that everyone benefits from this technological progress.
It's also crucial to have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of quantum computing who will have access to this technology.
Yeah.
How do we prevent it from being used for harmful purposes? These are questions we need to be asking now.
It sounds like we're on the verge of a technological leap that could fundamentally reshape our world.
Yeah.
It's both incredibly exciting and a bit daunting, wouldn't you say?
It's a time of great opportunity and great responsibility we need to approach this new era with a combination of curiosity, caution, and a commitment to ensuring that these powerful technologies are used for the betterment of humanity.
Well said. I think you've given our listeners a lot to think about today. It's clear that quantum computing has the potential to revolutionize many aspects of our lives, from how we communicate and protect our data to how we treat diseases and understand the universe. But as with any powerful technology, it's up to us to ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically. And perhaps that's the biggest challenge of all, navigating this new frontier with wisdom and foresight.
I think that's a perfect way to sum it up. The quantum revolution is upon us, and it's up to all of us to shape its course.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to think about a kind of world we're stepping into.
Mm.
You know, all this talk about quantum computers and a quantum internet, it's mind-boggling
I know.
to consider the possibilities,
It is.
but also the potential like pitfalls.
Yeah, it's like we're standing on the edge of a new frontier, isn't it?
It is.
We can glimpse the outlines of these incredible advancements,
Yeah.
but the details are still shrouded in mist.
It's true. And as with any uncharted territory, there are both, opportunities and risks to consider. It's funny. We often talk about technology as this neutral tool, but it's never really neutral, is it?
No, it's not.
The way we develop and use technology reflects our values, our priorities, and even our fears.
That's a very astute observation. Technology is an extension of ourselves, a reflection of our aspirations and our anxieties and the choices we make today about how we develop and deploy these powerful quantum technologies will have a profound impact on the kind of world we create tomorrow.
So it's not just about the science, then.
No.
It's about having thoughtful conversations about the ethical implications, the societal impacts, even the philosophical questions that arise when we start talking about things like teleporting information and potentially altering the very fabric of reality.
Absolutely. We need to engage in these conversations now before these technologies become so pervasive that we lose the opportunity to shape their development in a way that aligns with our values.
It makes me wonder what those conversations would even sound like. What kind of questions should we be asking? Who should be involved in these discussions?
I think we need to bring together a diverse group of voices, scientists, ethicists, policymakers, social scientists, artists,
Yeah.
and even everyday citizens. And we need to ask questions like, who will benefit from these technologies? Who might be left behind?
Yeah.
How do we ensure equitable access and prevent the exacerbation of existing inequalities?
Right.
How do we protect individual privacy in a world where information can be transmitted and processed at unimaginable speeds?
Yeah.
And perhaps most importantly, how do we want these technologies to shape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe?
Those are some really big
They
questions.
are.
And I honestly don't know the answers,
Right.
but it seems like the first step is simply acknowledging that these are questions we need to be asking.
Exactly. We need to cultivate a sense of collective responsibility for the future we're creating. We can't simply leave it to the scientists and engineers to figure it all out.
Right.
We all have a stake in this quantum future.
Well, I think that's a powerful message to leave our listeners with. The quantum revolution is underway,
It is.
and it's up to all of us to engage in the conversations, ask the tough questions, and make sure that we're steering the ship towards a future that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. I'm hopeful that by having these conversations now, we can create a future where quantum technologies are a force for good, for progress, and for expanding our understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit.
That's a future I'd love to be a part of. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of quantum computing. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm sure it's only just the beginning.
It has been a pleasure, and to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities the quantum future's in our hands.